Alright guys, so we got our case out here. We're going to give it a real good clean up before we put it back together. It's pretty yucky just from sitting around and from not being real happy. There's a lot of residue and clutch dust and stuff in the case, so we want to get it really nice and clean before we start trying to put it back together. Okay, so this is our case all cleaned up. Give it a good gurney and blow down with the air. There's still, as you can see, there's still some clutch dust and some other stuff on the case, so what we're actually going to do is brake cleaner, and a really clean lint-free rag, just to make sure that we get absolutely everything off, so we've got a really nice clean case to start reassembling it. And we'll start reinstalling components next. Ready to start reassembling. All we're going to do with this stuff is just sort of wipe it clean and just clean it up as we put it back together. I'll keep everything fairly covered up while there's other work going on in the shed. So we've got the reverse drum and the output shaft and everything in there. As you can see through there, that's our new speed sensor reluctor ring. So just to show you, this is how the box actually selects reverse. You can see here, this input shaft, as it turns, that drum, the planetaries turn that drum the opposite way. And what happens is, those bands there operate through your reverse servo, and when it engages those bands, it locks that drum, and what you'll actually get with that drum locked solid, it's hard to do with one hand, but once those bands are engaged and lock that drum, it actually engages those planetaries to turn the output shaft the opposite way, and that's how it selects reverse. So we're just going to do up our center support screw. All these bolts have torque settings. This one's 29 foot-pound. And there we go, ready to move on. Here's a bit of a trick. Now they're slightly different year models, these two boxes. This one here, the old one, was I believe a 98, and this one appears to be about an 02. And they're slightly different in the front hub. As you can see, this one, which is the one that came out of my box, that tab locks into that gap there in the housing. If you have a look at that, how that works, and you'll notice the difference here. This newer box has an actual locating pin. You can see the difference there and how that actually locks in. So we're going to keep this hub and plate with this box so that everything works the way that it's supposed to. Okay, coming back together now. So that's our overdrive or fourth gear, clutch packs and everything in, the input shaft. The last step now was to put the pump assembly back in the top, which is up next. And after that we're ready to take it back off the stand and start assembling the valve body and the rest of the parts on the bottom side. There we have it. Internals are back in the box, ready to come off the stand, start on the valve body. When I'm doing up sort of multiple bolts like this, it's a good idea just to get a paint pen and mark each one as you torque them so that you know they're done, then you can't miss any, because that has happened before and it's not good. Alright, so we're about ready to put the valve body on. And do not forget to put the check balls in. I've already put them in, because again it's too hard to do with two hands. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the valve body is ready to go on. There we have it, reassembled. So you can see mark every bolt as well, so you can easily check, which I did before I put the filter on, that all the bolts are tensioned up. Important things that we've remembered is to put the check balls in. The wiring goes under that tube. That tube is very important, that feeds your rear there, you need that in there as well. And that's it. Springs back on our parking lock. Everything is looking good, so we're ready to put the pan on. Ready to put the pan on. Ready to put the gasket on the box. That's the pan. Now I've just run a very thin smear of RTV on both surfaces just to make sure that they seal. It is no secret that I absolutely despise oil leaks, and transmission pans are notorious for it. Alright, get the rest of the bolts in and button it up. And there we have it. One rebuilt 4L80. So the last thing to do now is just put the ancillaries on the outside of the box, like all the electronics and the shifter leg, and our cooler lines, and then we've got to get it back in the car. The joy.